So the last fragment about Victorian hypocrisy. This is something that Victorians probably did not believe about themselves, but it has been observed by all the generations since. And this is the reason why Victorian culture and Victorian morality was mocked very cruelly. Even shortly after Victoria died, so if we look at the period of modernism in early 20th century, and then if we look at the later generations, there is a lot of mockery, there is a lot of mistrust towards the Victorians and the Victorian values, and the main reason for that is the assumed hypocrisy of this whole culture. And Walter Houghton ends his discussion with a chapter on Victorian hypocrisy, and he admits that there must be some truth in it, and he tries to give the reasons for it. And one of those reasons is that, at least for majority of the society, the theory was too hard to be used in practice. That is, the expectations, the rules, uh, the principles of Victorian morality, the standards of morality that were expected of people in daily life were not possible to be met. So there was no safety valve for all things irreverent, for the irony, for the sarcasm, for some sort of discontent with the culture, for the fear and anxiety and stress that this culture caused. You either followed the morality and you were a good moral person, a gentleman or a lady, even with relatively modest means, or you were immoral. You were condemned as an immoral person, and especially if you sinned against the aspects of culture that were more typical for your sex, like, let's say, sexual morality in women, you could be actually ostracized and victimized by the culture. So the difference is what Houghton calls the difference between Sunday and Monday. So on Sunday, everybody would go to church and pretend how moral and God obedient they were. On Monday, they would go on to abuse their workers in factories, to keep illicit sexual liaisons, to be cruel and dishonest to their subordinates, to their servants, to children and animals, and basically anyone. So that's really the kind of duality that perhaps they tried to repress, but they could not. And this goes back to one last aspect of the Victorian class system, namely the fact that the middle class was so new that it wasn't really firmly structured. So the only way of knowing and letting other people know that you are in the middle class and not the working class was through a very complex system of unwritten rules and codes of behavior that would act as status symbols. So the society was fluid. The society was in the state of change. But people wanted stability in life, so they tried to um, artificially solidify the structure by a complex system of the rules of behavior, going very far. So where you lived, your address, there were better or worse living quarters, what clothes you wore, what you ate, what you could afford. Did you have your own private means of transport, or did you use public transport? What kind of leisure activities and holiday destinations you would choose, or you would be able to choose. So this is the whole system, to use a theoretical phrase, of conspicuous consumption. Conspicuous consumption. This actually comes from a late Victorian book on the theory of leisure class by a scholar called Thorsten Veblen, and he argued that the Victorians, because of the fluidity of their society, they tried to impress the others by spending the money on status symbols. So, the kind of clothes that you could afford, the kind of leisure activities and foods and anything was not for your own pleasure. It was not because you wanted it or you liked it, or I don't know, you liked good clothes or good food, or nice holidays. You wanted to impress your neighbors. So they would position you and your family somewhere on the social ladder, and usually in relation with other people and other families they knew. So this is quite hypocritical if you think about that. Trying to impress the people you don't really like by excessive spending of money, sometimes you do not really have, to buy things that you do not need or do not even like. So this would be like the original sin of the Victorians, and something that would give rise to other aspects of hypocrisy in their culture. So I'll try to find some links for you to see, commenting on the Victorian values and the Victorian social classes. And we continue next week, probably talking about Victorian sexuality and different aspects of